is the law versus the law.
The law versus.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to touch 4 different things on God's law versus New York State law.
Okay.
On 4 different topics. All right, Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai broke a thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alatham Ba'Shem Yashai to the sisters. I am Priest and Officer Shargapan of the I.S.U.P.K. That's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. And since 1969, we've been going out all across this globe to wake up so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, right? And today's topic, since it is Wednesday, the law class, we're going to be doing a little special something for everyone living here in New York State. Now, this also can apply to everyone living in different states or in different parts of the world, but this class is tailored to the New York State Penal Code. So some other states might have similar penal codes for certain crimes. Here we're going to be focusing on the crimes for New York, all right? Comparing the laws of God and then the laws of man according to the New York State law.
Good.
All right? So first, let me get a little bit. Genesis chapter 4, verse 8.
I thought you said.
No,
Genesis 4. Slide. 1 second. I thought you said 40. Genesis 4 and 8. Salakia. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
Now, if you don't know or you're not familiar with the Bible, there's a big story with called Abel and Cain, right? Or Cain and Abel, where one brother kills his other brother.
Right.
And Cain was the older brother and Abel was a younger brother. And Cain was jealous of his younger brother Abel because God accepted Abel's offering sacrifice, where he did not look kindly upon the offering of Cain. He didn't really accept or have respect onto Cain's offering, because Abel brought the Most High meat, whereas Cain brought him vegetables and fruit. And God chose Abel's offering, which was of meat, right? So Cain, being jealous, while him and his brother were walking about talking, Cain decided to kill his brother Abel. He decided to raise up against his brother Abel and kill him. Go to verse 10.
10. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
And God tells God tells Cain, what have you done? Your brother's blood cries from me from the ground. Now, Abel's blood really isn't crying to the Lord, but the Lord knows exactly what Cain has done. Right? Keep going, verse 11.
11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened up her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
Read that again.
11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened up her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
Now the Lord is basically cursing Cain.
Who?
What?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh. God is cursing Cain for what he has done.
Right.
Cain just killed his brother unrighteously, unjustly. Right? And now God is telling Cain what his curse is going to be. Keep going.
Verse 12. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
Right? And this is the curse, that one of the curses that God puts on Cain. When thou tillest the ground, when you go to farm, right, and harvest, the ground won't give you any produce. It'll give you no crops when it comes time to harvest. It says that that Cain will be a fugitive. Now let's look up the word fugitive, right? Fugitive is a person who has escaped from a place or is in hiding. especially to avoid arrest or persecution. Right? Now, God is calling Cain a fugitive because now Cain is going to have to run and hide all over the earth because other people might want to kill Cain for what he did to Abel. The other family members of Adam and Eve might want to come and rise up against Cain for killing Abel. Or just other people living out in the wilderness may find out that Cain murdered one of Adam's sons, his brother, and want to murder Cain.
If I may.
Go ahead.
To bring that on a more larger scale, anybody who you gotta understand, there's a reason Esau hides his history and his identity, because anybody who knows Esau's history and knows what Esau's about knows you can't trust him, and probably the best thing would be to deal with them swiftly. So what's called that in itself shows you I don't know what's called larger scale. It's basically showing how Esau has a track record of being an evil, wicked bastard, and because of it, nobody on the earth likes him.
Yeah, no one wants to deal with Esau because the so-called white man is a murderer. He is a fugitive on the entire earth, on the entire planet, on every single continent and country. Everyone knows the crimes that the white man has committed, all the murders and killings that the white man has committed, and he's a fugitive everywhere he goes. That's why he has to deal with policies and try to push peace, because if people decided to exact judgment or go after justice, they would want to kill the white man, kill Esau. But God said that whoever touches Esau will be paid back sevenfold. So no one on earth has the power to fight against Esau or even touch Esau, because their punishment will be 7 times greater. You have the example with the Israeli government, the example with the Russian government, the American government. During the time of the Greeks and Romans, no one can stand against them. You went to war against them and killed some of their people, they obliterated your civilization.
If I may.
Go ahead.
One thing I think Jeremiah Hyman brought out, except for 9/11, you really have Ishmael or the Arabs literally going out with rocks or maybe one AK-47 trying to fight 50 literal tanks.
Yeah. You can't fight against the white man because he's a murderer. And a vagabond. Let's look up the definition for vagabond. It says a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job. And the white man has no home, has no permanent place of residence. He was kicked out of the garden for his crime of being a murderer. And ever since then, the white man moves from place to place, moves from one cave to another cave, moves from one forest to another forest, moves to one civilization, destroys that civilization and moves to another, moves from one country to another country. They destroyed and polluted and desecrated Europe so much. When the white man came over here, they did the same exact thing. And the white man, which has the same exact spirit of Cain, should be and is today a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Right? Go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 11. Exodus chapter 2, verse 11.
Exodus. Goddamn. Hurry up. Exodus 2 and 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brother and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren.
So now Moses has a lot of power in Egypt. If I'm not mistaken, he's second over everything in Egypt this time. He's directly under Pharaoh.
Well, he's Pharaoh's grandson, to my knowledge. That's Joseph you're speaking of.
Joseph, but Moses had power too. He had great rank because he was either the grandson of Pharaoh or he was the brother of the current Pharaoh at that time.
I haven't heard that, but you could be right, sir.
Right? So we could double check that. Double check that later. Right? So Moses goes out And Moses being raised by his own mother and sister,
Right.
Hebrew women, Israelites, he decides to take a stroll one day. Let's just say he takes a stroll out of the palace,
Right.
out of the comfort of the luxuries of the palace, and he walks into the hood.
Right.
And he sees an Egyptian, an African, beating on one of his people, a brother, an Israelite. Right? Keep going.
Con.
Verse 12.
12. And he looked this way and that
Moses
way.
stopped. He looked around this corner. He looked around that corner. Keep going.
And when he saw that there was no man,
And he saw that the coast was clear. So Moses already had it in his head on what he was going to do. It was a premeditated thought because he stopped before acting, looked both ways like if you're crossing the street, and he made sure that there was no one around to see him. Keep going.
he slew.
He what?
He slew
He murdered.
the Egyptian
So he killed this Egyptian. Keep going.
and hid him in the sand.
And then he hid his body in the sand. Moses murdered this person. Now the laws of God is for Israelites to keep and obey, but the laws of God, all the other races of people will have to obey them as well. So when Moses killed the Egyptian, he committed a crime against God, because it says, because when we get to it, Exodus 20 and 13, can you get that for me? Moses did exactly what he was not supposed to do. Moses did exactly what God said not to do.
Con, sir.
Read it.
Exodus 20 and 13. Thou shalt not kill.
Moses was not supposed to murder that Egyptian.
You still need it too?
No.
Okay, go on.
Moses was not supposed to murder that Egyptian. What he did was wrong. And the way you know it was wrong was because he had to look both ways. He had to see if the coast was clear. He had to see if anyone was coming and if anyone would witness the crime that he was about to commit.
Right.
Thou shalt not kill. Go to Numbers chapter 35, verse 30. Excuse me.
Wow. One page away. 35 and 30. Whoso killeth any person.
If anyone kills another person, keep going.
Salakia. The murderer shall be put to death.
The person that killed that other person, the murderer, shall be put to death. That was a punishment for killing someone. That was a punishment for unjustly and unrighteously murdering someone, killing them. That is the punishment of not being able to be justified by the congregation or by the elders. This was the punishment for murder. Keep going.
By the mouth of witnesses.
And the way you would be served your punishment is that you would have to have witnesses to stand up against you to say that they saw you kill this person, or they heard you talk about you killing this person, or they saw you come in with blood on your shirt and you immediately threw away your boots that had blood on them, or they saw the bloody knife and that you washed and put away and hid and buried, right? Keep going.
Gun. By the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die.
However, if there's only one witness, that witness cannot stand up to testify against you to cause that person to die. If only one person says that they saw you murder someone, that's not enough. That would not be enough to bring punishment onto the murderer. Now let's drop that. Right? So we're learning about murder and the law of murder and the punishment of a murder in the Bible. Now let's talk about it in the state of New York, since we are in New York, all over the Hudson Valley, whether it's Westchester County, Putnam County, Orange County, Dutchess County, Rockland County, New York City, even, or Albany, or Rochester, wherever you are in New York, right? The New York Penal Law 125.27 is murder in the first degree. Now you have other different types of murders. You know, murder, the crime of murder in the first degree, second degree, third degree, recklessness, manslaughter, all these types of classifications for when someone kills someone else, right? Now, murder in the first degree is if you intentionally cause the death of another person, you will face homicide charge. There are several different offenses in the New York Criminal Code related to taking the life of another person, including homicide, manslaughter, and murder. Some of the things I just mentioned. All of the crimes related to homicide, the most serious are murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree, and aggravated murder. Each is a Class A1 felony, meaning that if you are convicted, if you are found guilty of murdering someone in the first degree, second degree, or aggravated murder, right, you could be sentenced to life in prison. Now, a long time ago, they would put you to death.
Right.
All across America, the penalty for murder would have been put to death.
Right.
But you know, white people, being the devil that they are, being the fugitive and the vagabond, said that was cruel and unusual punishment. Right. So in some states, they have done away with the death penalty, New York being one of them, right? So here, the maximum punishment that you can receive for an A1 felony, first degree murder, second degree murder, aggravated murder, is life in prison, spending your entire life in jail, throwing away a key, no probability of parole, no early release, no nothing, no time served for good behavior. It's life in prison, right? Under New York Penal Law 125.27, you can be prosecuted for murder in the first degree if you intentionally cause the death of another person and the victim was a police officer engaging in performing his or her own official duties, intentionally caused the death of another person and the victim was a firefighter, emergency medical technician, ambulance driver, paramedic physician, or registered nurse responding to an emergency. So there's a whole list of what you can be charged with first degree murder, right? The one I want you to pay attention to, because it directly correlates to what we read with Cain and Abel and what we read with Moses, right, is this one. Hold on one second. Where'd it go? Sorry, hold on one second. Here, perfect. Wow, I lost it just now. Okay, here it goes, right? Cause the death. Oh no, that was actually it, right? Intentionally cause the death of another person, and the victim was a police officer engaged in performing his or her own official duties. Right? Now, back in those days, our people, we were slaves to the Egyptians. So they had Egyptians who were overseers, people who sought to make sure that we did what we were supposed to do, right? And as you know, even during slavery in the Americas, you had these overseers that would abuse their power, that would beat us because we looked at them wrong, beat us because we were walking too slow, or just beat us because they wanted to, right? So this person that Moses killed, you can consider him to be a police officer in today's day and age, because he was an Egyptian. He was an Egyptian. We were slaves, so therefore we weren't considered to be let's say, citizens.
Right.
And so an Egyptian, especially the one that's beating the Hebrew brother, was doing whatever he was doing his duties, because it was lawful for them to beat on us, to punish us, right? And Moses killed him while he was in the middle of carrying out a punishment or beating, or for whatever the reason was, beating the Hebrew brother. Now, there was one that I was looking for. Right? And I can't seem to find it. It was so much simpler. Let me go back. This should be easy. Here we go. If you intentionally cause the death of another person, you will face homicide charges. So that's basically it, right? Moses had the intent to kill that Egyptian. And the reason why it was premeditated, the reason why he had intent to kill him was because, one, he saw the Egyptian beating on his brother. Two, he looked both ways and to make sure that the coast was clear. Three, after he knew that no one would see him commit this crime, he went ahead and murdered that African. And then to make matters worse, he got rid of the evidence, so to speak. He buried the Egyptian. He didn't want no one to find this dead body. He didn't want no one to know that someone murdered this Egyptian, which would have been Moses, because Moses was the one that murdered that African. Now, the comparison is pretty great, because here in our laws, murder is wrong, no matter who it is. If an Israelite kills a heathen, someone from another race, unjustly and unrighteously, it is considered to be murder and wrong.
Right.
If another person from a different race were to murder an Israelite, to me that's just an act of war. But let's say there was a reason why. If it was unjust and unrighteous, that would be murder. It would be wrong, right? And so here in the Americas, the white man, the devil, has used the laws of our ancestors to form or create some type of a guideline or some type of policy or some type of a code of conduct for the people living in his kingdom, basically.
Right.
And for here in New York State, it's called the New York State Penal Law. You can get all different types of versions from different years, but you might want to get the most up-to-date one. And what's great about it is because at the end of Numbers 35 and 30, it talks about a witness, right? Here in the Americas, you need witnesses to go to court. Just like you needed witnesses to go forth before the congregation and the elders when judging a matter. Here in New York State and all over the country, there are witnesses that have to go before a prosecutor and a defense attorney and a judge. And depending on what kind of court, what kind of trial you are in, you may have a trial by jury or you just may have a trial by judge. But either way, witnesses are needed to help
authenticate?
Yes, to help authenticate or to help disprove or prove a crime that did or did not happen.
Right.
So they create their own laws straight from the Bible. Let me say that real quick.
Go on, sir.
Because the white man is the devil, and the white man has used our holy book to control and rule the world and enslave us. So in this book is the laws of God. And they've used the laws of God to create laws so that way they can have some type of justification of rulership here in this land. Excuse me, let me see. Sarah Rana Yahweh Khan. The white man makes laws based off the Bible. That is absolutely correct. Just like we're seeing right now. All right. So let's drop that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 18. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 18.
Deuteronomy 5:18. Neither shalt thou commit adultery.
Now here it says, neither shalt thou commit adultery, right? I'll just break it down for you. Adultery, according to the Bible, besides adultery meaning sleeping with not sleeping. Besides adultery meaning to take on the culture, lifestyle, and religions of other nations, adultery is committed two ways. When a man sleeps with a woman and that woman already has a husband. Right? And second, when a woman who has a husband sleeps with a man that is not her husband.
Right.
Those are the only ways that physical adultery, like sleeping with someone, having sex with someone, is relevant in this case, right? Neither should thou commit adultery. Right. A man should not sleep with another man's wife, and a woman should not sleep with a man that is not her husband. Right. When she has a husband already. Right. Go to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10.
Leviticus 20 and 10. And the man that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife.
No. 20 and 10.
So the man that committeth adultery, with his neighbor's wife.
It doesn't say, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife.
With another man's wife.
Start again.
With another man's wife.
Start from top.
20 and 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife.
So a man that sleeps with another man's wife. Keep going.
He that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife.
He that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, another man's wife.
The adulterer and
the man that slept with that woman.
And the adulteress.
The woman that slept with the man, even though she had a husband.
Shall surely be put to death.
Shall what?
Surely be put to death.
Back in the old days, if you were convicted or found in the act of adultery, the punishment was to be put to death. Like for murder, right? The punishment for murder was that you would be put to death.
Right.
Here in New York State, the punishment for murder is life in prison.
Right.
In the old days, for adultery, it was also you would be put to death.
Right.
There will be a hole that was dug. You will be put in that hole. You'll be buried in that hole. Right. Only your head will show, and you would be stoned to death.
Right.
Right? Now let me get Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. Exodus chapter 20, 14. It's not necessarily unlawful sex. Well, yeah, it is unlawful sex. Salakia, Shara. It is unlawful sex. It is because you are sleeping with someone. A man that is sleeping with a woman who already has a husband is unlawful. Right. A woman who has a husband and sleep with a man that is not her husband is unlawful. Right. Salakia.
14. This is our Exodus 20 and 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
So here we go again, the law. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, since the white man is such a biter, since the white man likes to steal everything, because he's a fugitive, right? He's a criminal. Let's see what New York State has to say about adultery. According to New York State penal law, right? Section 255.17 of the New York State penal law states, a person is guilty of adultery when he engages in sexual intercourse with another person at a time he has a living spouse or the other person has a living spouse. Now, this is half correct. The reason why I say it's half correct because if a man who has a woman sleeps with another woman, that is not considered adultery. That is not adultery according to the Bible and according to God. However, if a man sleeps with a woman that has a husband, that is adultery. See, here in America, the white man likes to take everything and also likes to twist everything. So just because a man has one wife, If he sleeps with another woman, they would consider that to be adultery, because a lot of the laws is also based on Christianity, right? Which is based off the Bible. And according to Christianity, when a man can only have one wife, but according to the Bible, a man can have multiple wives, as long as they're not the wife of another person. So here in New York State, Section 255.17, the penal law, a person is guilty of adultery when he engages in sexual intercourse with another person at a time he has a living spouse, or the other person has a living spouse. Now, according to the law, according to God's law, if a man sleeps with a woman who has a husband already, or if a woman who has a husband sleeps with another man that's not her husband, the punishment for that crime would to be put to death. However, because the white man is such a devil, he altered that punishment. It says, according to the law, an adultery conviction is punishable by up to 90 days in jail or a $500 fine. So in New York State, if you were brought up on adultery charges, if you were found to be guilty of those charges, your only crime would be 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Not even both. It's one or the other. Either pay $500, the amount of a new PS5 or Xbox, or spend 90 days in jail, right? Now, it's very rare, extremely rare, that someone in New York State will be brought up on adultery charges. And the reason why it's very rare someone will be brought up on adultery charges is because the white man is the biggest fornicator on the planet. To him, it doesn't matter. The white man will sleep with anyone's woman. The white man will sleep with other men like he does already. So there really is no punishment for adultery here in the state of New York. There might not even be punishments for other states in the United States. And that is because the white man is wicked, diabolical. He is deceiving and he's a liar, and he has twisted the word of God. He makes a law, section 255.17, for adultery, states what the punishment will be, but then he hardly ever upholds that law, upholds the conviction, and upholds the punishment for it. Right, let me see if there's any questions. Nothing on Facebook, YouTube. Everyone checking in on YouTube, all the brothers, Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yashai Brakatham. To the sisters, Yahweh Shemon Latam Bashim Yahushai. All right. All right, so we're going to move on, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 22, verse 1. I'll give you all a few minutes to get there. Exodus chapter 22, verse 1. All right. Here we are. Exodus chapter 22, verse 1. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. So here we're talking about stealing, taking something that doesn't belong to you. So if a man were to steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he was supposed to give 5 oxen for that 1 ox he stole. He's supposed to give 4 sheep for that 1 sheep he stole. Exodus 22 and 2. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. Right? Now, if a thief is found, right, doing what he's doing, and he's caught in the act, and he's bitten, and he's being beaten, and he just so happens to die, no blood shall be shed for him being killed, because he was found in the act of committing a crime. Exodus chapter 22, verse 3. If the sun be rising upon him, there shall be blood shed for him. For he shall make full restitution if he have nothing. Then he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. Now, if the sun comes up and he's not caught in the act, there should be some type of payment, right? He should make full restitution. He should pay back fully what he owes for committing that crime of stealing, of thievery, right? Now, if that thief, if the person that stole, doesn't have anything, doesn't have his 4 sheep to give for that 1 sheep that he stole, killed, and sold. If he doesn't have 5 oxen for that 1 oxen that he stole, killed, or sold, right? Then he shall be sold for his theft. So that thief would then be sold as a servant, sold as a slave, as a punishment, and to recuperate the losses from the person that he committed that crime against. All right? If verse 4, if the theft be certainly found in his hand alive. Now, if the sheep or the ox or whatever he's stealing is alive and still in good condition, whether it be an ox or an ass, whether it be an ox or an ass or sheep, he shall restore double. So if the ox is alive and he's found caught in the act, the ox that he stole is in his possession and it is found out, he should give double. He should give 2 oxes for that 1 ox that he stole. Or he should give 2 sheep or 2 donkeys for that 1 sheep or that 1 donkey that he stole. Right? Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. I'll give you a few moments to scroll back to Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. So keep in mind, we're talking about stealing, thievery, death, right? Here we are. Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. Thou shalt not steal. Now that was a law given to us by God, that we should not steal. We should not be thieves. We should not take anything that does not belong to us, that belongs to someone else. And as we just finished reading, there were punishments to deal with someone either caught in the act or found out to have committed the act of stealing or theft. Now let's see what New York State has to say. Now, according to New York State, there's a bunch of different laws. There are a bunch of different categories for the simple law of stealing, right? You have petty larceny, grand larceny, burglary, robbery, all dealing with stealing, all dealing with theft, right? Now, under New York law, theft, right? This is what is defined as. New York criminal law uses the term larceny to describe theft laws. So when you say theft, New York State, it's larceny. In New York, larceny occurs when a person wrongfully takes, obtains, or withholds property from its rightful owner with the intent to deprive the owner of such property. Just like in the Bible, the person that was committing the act of theft wanted to, he's committing a wrongful taking. He's taking something that doesn't belong to him. He then possesses or withholds that property, right, from the rightful owner. He takes it from them and keeps it or holds it and doesn't give it back with the intent to deprive the owner of such property. So in the Old Testament, by you taking that sheep or cattle or oxen or chicken or donkey, right, you're still taking something wrongfully. And then by you selling it, by you killing it, you're depriving the owner of their property. because that cow could have been used to feed that person's family.
Right.
Could have been used to till the land. Could have been used to reproduce and make more oxen and cattle. Could have been used for its milk, right? You're depriving the owner of the benefits of his property, of his belonging, right? Now here are some specific methods of larceny in New York. There's larceny by trick or embezzlement, obtaining property by false pretenses, acquiring lost property, issuing a back check, or taking property by extortion. Now you have different classifications. You have patent larceny, right? Patent larceny is the lowest theft level offense in New York, and it's called patent larceny or petty theft, which is the unlawful taking of property or services valued at no more than $1,000. It's normally considered a Class A misdemeanor. This is New York State Penal Law 155.25, right? Now the punishment for this of a Class A misdemeanor may include imprisonment for a term not to exceed 1 year. So prison time for 1 year or less, and a fine that doesn't exceed $1,000. So you have to serve 1 year or less in prison, and you have to pay back $1,000 or less.
So
for patent larceny, yeah.
Pay that to who though?
Here this is just criminal law. So you'd be paying the court for committing the crime. Now in civil court, that's something completely different,
Okay.
right? So in civil court, because in the Bible, you would still have to go forth before the Levitical priest, right? But you will pay the punishment to that that person that you stole from would have to get some type of retribution.
Okay.
Would have to get some type of recompense for your crime against them. Here, since this is only the criminal law, we're only talking about what you have to pay back to the state. Bosha, can I have a bottle of water? The water.
I'll throw this one out. I don't know this.
The water. Now we have grand larceny, right? Grand larceny in the 4th degree, grand larceny in the 3rd degree, grand larceny in the 2nd, grand larceny in the 1st. You can go read up on these on your own if you live in New York State, right? But I'm gonna just get to grand larceny in the 1st degree. Warm, yes. Grand larceny in the 1st degree. If the value of the property or services stolen exceeds $1 million, the offense is grand larceny in the 1st degree, which is a Class B felony. This is Penal Law 155.42. The sentence for a Class B felony, right, includes imprisonment for a term not to exceed 25 years. So 25 years or less served in jail or prison, and a fine not to exceed $30,000. And you have to pay back to the state $30,000 or less, whatever they decide. Now for civil penalties, right, like you mentioned earlier, civil penalties for theft in New York, it says, in addition to the criminal penalties for larceny, a person who commits shoplifting in New York, or the parent or legal guardian of a minor who commits shoplifting, may be held civilly liable to the store owner or merchant. You would have to pay back the retail price of the merchandise, if not returned in a sellable condition, in an amount not to exceed $1,500 plus, right? Or a penalty not to exceed greater of 5 times the retail value, the retail price, or $75 with a cap of $500. So that means, right, if I stole
some Jordans,
$100 pair of sneakers, right? The maximum that I would have to pay back to Foot Locker or Foot Action or Zoomies or Walmart, Costco's, whatever, right? Will be $500 because that's 5 times the original amount.
Right.
So I can end up paying just the regular amount, $100. I can just pay back by giving back the item, right?
If it's in good condition.
If it's in good sellable condition. But these are the punishments for committing the crime of thievery, of theft, stealing. But it doesn't just stop there, right? Because we also have robbery and burglary, right?
So
What? Go ahead.
I had a question.
Go ahead. Speak up.
Does Esau cover like does Esau have a difference between a starving person or poverty theft, and because you know I don't want to spoil what what's called. You know what I'm referring to, or like?
Yes, because according to the Bible, if someone is caught stealing because he's hungry,
Right.
then he should not be punished for being hungry. He just have to serve. I think it's serve back time to commit to satisfy what he did wrong, what he did. But he shouldn't be punished for stealing to eat.
Because if I'm not mistaken, if you're a regular cat and you just rob somebody, that's 7 times what you stole.
Yeah.
But I think it's a smaller amount, like, or you basically just have to give back what you stole, because technically you weren't supposed to take that, as long as you were in poverty and all that.
To be honest, from my studies, there is no distinction.
Oh, okay.
It's just petty larceny. You go into the store and you steal a loaf of bread, and that's your 3rd strike. Like in California, I believe, you steal a loaf of bread, boom, you're spending the rest of your life in jail.
Yeah, I've heard about that. A guy, I think Commander Johnny YAHANNA did a show one time about
stole a bike or something like that.
I think it was socks. I know the brother here in New York, they got him for the book bag 2 years later. They had him in solitary confinement. Yeah, ridiculous.
Right? So that's how evil and diabolical they are. You know,
right.
The Lord shows mercy on someone who's starving.
Right.
And he only steals what he needed to survive.
Right.
He stole a loaf of bread. He steals a basket of corn.
Right.
You know, he steals some grapes, right? All just to eat.
Right.
But the white man is so devilish, and he's such a good Christian, because Christians don't follow the laws of God, that he will punish the person that's starving. He will want that person that's starving to serve jail time and to pay back that $2.89 for that a small loaf of white Wonder Bread. You know what I mean?
Right. If I may, sir.
Go ahead.
What's so sad about that is that I know a brother in that predicament from a child, because his mother was on drugs. He had a little brother, and because of his mother's situation, it was up to him to feed both him and the little brother, and that led to him getting time. That brother's serving a life sentence now for living that life.
Yeah, you know, and it's sad, because that's a good amount of cases. People serving life in jail because they committed a crime that was their last straw.
Right.
Stealing a pack of bubble gum.
Right.
Stealing a case of water. Stealing a beer. You know, just to try to get through hard times.
Right.
Now let's go into burglary and robbery. Right. A burglary must involve an entry into a building and an intent to commit a crime upon such entry. Whether the building is a home, or if the defendant is armed, injures a victim, or displays a weapon with the change of degree of offense, right?
Wait, Salaki, repeat that last part, if I may.
Whether the building is a home,
okay,
or if the defendant is armed, injures a victim, or displays a weapon, will change the degree of the offense. So burglary in the first, second.
Right. Okay, I understand. So depending on how everything went down is how they're gonna.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily involve theft, right? They can use it to into other crimes, like it says here.
A home invasion.
Burglary also doesn't necessarily involve theft. Many believe that the crime occurs when the perpetrator takes property after entering illegally. However, if the perpetrator intends to commit any crime, whether it be theft, a sex crime, an assault, or any type of crime, it can still be charged as burglary.
What if, Salaki, if I may, what if you don't plan on doing a crime? Is that a crime?
You breaking and entering would be
okay. That's still considered a crime.
Yeah, they can either drop it down to B&E, breaking and entering, or they can leave it as burglary. Right?
They can still leave it as burglary.
Yes.
Like, so Salaki, just to give a small scenario, I want to prank Officer Shah, so I'm going to come in through his window and just be in his house when he get home. I'm not doing a crime. I'm just here to prank my friend.
The crime was you entering the
home illegally.
Yes.
Kind of. Just wanted to make sure of that. Damn, I wanted to.
But the burglary must involve an entry into a building.
Right.
And an intent to commit a crime.
Right, in order for it to really stick.
Yeah.
Kind of.
All right. Now, robbery right? It's a face-to-face confrontation between the perpetrator and the victim. It involves instilling fear, instilling fear in and or force against the victim before, during, or after commission of a property theft. So let's say I run up to you, smack you in your face, and steal your book bag. That'll be robbery. Let's say I come up to you and tell you, I'm going to smack you in your face if you don't give me a book bag. And you give me your book bag. That's robbery. Let's say I tell you, hey, give me your book bag. You give me a book bag and I smack you in the face. It's still considered robbery.
Yeah, that last
because
one
it says
funny.
before, during, or after the commission of a property crime.
Well,
like how they use what's that brother's name? Michael Brown. How they tried Mike Brown. How they said that he stole or took the roll-ups from the that store.
Right.
They considered it a strong arm robbery.
Right.
Because they said that he didn't pay for it.
Right.
You can see him pushing the clerk and taking it. That's why they called it a strong arm robbery, because he used force to take the property. And here are some of the penalties, right? Both burglary and robbery involve the possibility of a state prison sentence, right? And here are some of the things. Depending on the level, the classification of the burglary, like Class D, Class C, Class B, violent, non-violent, you could get anywhere from probation to 25 years in prison. Or here, and according to laws of God, you would have to pay back double if you were caught with the property in your hand.
Right.
If you were caught after the fact and you sold or killed the animal or the property, right? You have to pay back 5 oxen for one ox that you killed and stole and killed.
Right.
You have to pay back 4 sheep for the 1 sheep that you stole and killed, right?
Right.
But here, you can spend 25 years of your life in state prison for committing burglary or robbery.
John.
All right, let's drop that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 19 and 15.
Said 15?
Yes.
Deuteronomy 19 and 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin. In any sin that he sinneth, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established.
So here we're learning about what is necessary,
right,
in order to how would I say it?
Salakia?
In order to prove that this person has committed a crime, according to God, right? But one person can't just rise up and say, this person did this, that, and the third. You need multiple witnesses. You need at least 2. At least 2 to 3 witnesses, right? So that way the matter can be established. You want to say something?
No, I was saying basically another way to say it would be convicted.
Yeah.
God, that's basically it. Yeah.
So let's go to verse 16.
16. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him, that which is wrong.
So if a man decides to lie and say that this person did something that he didn't do, something wrong there. Keep going.
John. 17. Then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before the Most High, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. 18. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And behold, if the witness be a false witness, and have testified falsely against his brother.
So the judges, right? The elders, the people of the congregation, and they were, once they've done their investigation, and then they determined that this witness is a liar, that he's lying, and he's testifying wrongly against his brother. Keep going.
19. Then ye shall do unto him as he hath thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you.
So what would happen was, for example, if I was saying that you stole from me, and the punishment of that punishment that was to be given to you were to give me 30 times $5, right? What's that? 30 times 3 times 150, right? You were to give me $150 back. Now, if it's determined that I lied, then I would have to give you that $150. Right?
Or on a larger scale, you said I did something unlawful that would cost me my life.
Correct.
You got to lose yours.
Correct. So if I said that you slept with my wife, and it turns out that you didn't, the crime of adultery would be to be put to death. So since I lied against you and my lie would have gotten you killed, the punishment would be for me to be put to death. Now let's see what New York law says about lying.
Oh, you're lying on the witness. That's
pretty
serious, right?
Yeah, a person commits the crime of perjury in its most basic form when an individual swears falsely, lying. Therefore, if you perjure yourself, you knowingly make a false or misleading statement, either under oath or in a single signed legal document. While people lie all the time without legal consequence, perjury is taken very seriously because trust and credibility are paramount to a fair and functional legal system. This reminds me of the story of Susanna. When she did not want to sleep with those two priests, those two elders, and they lied on her. And they were trying to get her to be put to death for committing adultery when she did not, right? And it turns out, in fact, that I believe it was Daniel. The Lord rose up Daniel at that moment and put his spirit on Daniel, and Daniel was able to come to the determination that they were both lying by asking them who, what, where, when, and why. And when their stories didn't match up, when one said it was this tree that they saw her having sex, and the other said it was this tree that they saw her having sex, Daniel knew that these two false witnesses rose up against Susanna, and that they were liars, and their punishment was death. Right? It says here, the act of swearing falsely or perjury occurs when a person makes a false statement which he or she does not believe to be true while either giving testimony or under oath in a subscribed written instrument.
So, Salakia, believe is the word they use.
It says, which he or she does not believe to be true.
So if I could, like, what exactly is believe?
So, for instance, right, where it says the act of swearing falsely occurs when a person makes a false statement which he or she does not believe to be true. So, you stole, I say, under oath in the law, in New York State law, that you stole $100. And I believe you stole $100. Now, I believe that because there's $100 that's missing. I saw you with an extra $100 in your pocket. The person that said that you stole for them told me that you stole $100. So that's me believing that you stole $100, right? Now, not believing to be true is I have no reason to believe that. You see the difference? I'm saying that you stole $100 and I have no reason to say that. I have no proof to say that.
But I'm going from the standpoint of belief can be bad on the other instance. Could say a crime of assault. I don't believe I hurt this guy. That's, you can't really, what's it called?
See, that doesn't really apply to that because doctor will determine if you hurt the person or not.
Can't understand.
I can't believe, I don't really believe that I broke his arm. But meanwhile, an
X-ray says different.
Yeah, X-ray says different. I blocked it. I put him in the A-lock and I cracked his elbow the other way. You know what I mean? Like,
but even like I don't believe I cheated my taxes. Lo and behold, the taxes weren't paid though. Like you understand what I mean? There's ways that can be.
But it had to be proved that you. Didn't pay your taxes.
Right? I don't believe I did. I don't believe I did that on purpose.
Correct.
Like you can't beat that. That's in my head. You can't. How are you gonna prove what I did or did not do on purpose?
Understood.
God.
Now here are the penalties, right?
Right.
For third-degree perjury is a Class A misdemeanor, up to 1 year in prison and up to $1,000 fine. Second degree, Class E felony, up to 4 years and at least 1 year in prison and up to a $5,000 fine. And first degree perjury, Class D felony, from 3 to 7 years in prison and up to $5,000 in fine.
$5,000?
Mm-hmm.
Still ain't nothing.
It's nothing, because if I lied on someone about a murder charge, well, according to God, I would have been put into death.
But I wasn't even going so hard as murder. I was talking about the Beckys saying he raped me. Oh, like that's a very even though Esau doesn't take that as a death, put death on you. In the way you're going to be treated, and especially for a lot of the cats that end up having it to them, like college kids and all that, kids whose lives are 19 to 20-year-olds whose lives are going to be destroyed once they have that on their record. And not everybody's going to look up and remember, oh yeah, Shorty was lying. Your life is destroyed, and I'm going to get $5,000, and maybe she's going to go to jail.
This white man's a devil.
Con, sir. Definitely, you can say that again.
And to answer your question, Zamal J, the reason why you're paying the state is because here we're focusing on criminal law and not civil law. So because you committed a crime in the state, there's punishments for this crime that you have to pay the state back. Now in civil law, you would have to pay who you committed the wrong against. All right? All right, and with that, we're going to end the class. We ended the class early today because Captain Tazariak, the mighty chemic killer Thanos himself, is having a debate at 8:30 right now on In the Nation Radio, I believe.
We can watch it through Cross the Line.
Yeah, you can go on Cross the Line Radio and see the debate. Captain Tazariak is going to murder some blackety black Christian pastor, right? And they're going to be talking about the law. If they should keep the law, something like that.
Sir.
Let me find out exactly. It's Captain Tazariak versus Pastor Michael Holloway. The debate is going to be based around, do we keep the laws? So make sure y'all tune in right now after class is over. Cross the Line Radio, all right? So everyone that tuned in, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Shekar Batam, to the brothers, to the sisters, Yahweh Shema Latam Bashem Yoshai. Shalom, Israel.